The galaxy learned one rule too late: humans never shout their strength. They whisper it, calmly, and only once. When the warning came from Terran space, most empires laughed. They always did. And every empire that laughed was later remembered only as drifting metal and forgotten names. The Aurelian Dominion had ruled star systems for over 8,000 years. Their ships were elegant, gold-lined, and terrifying. Their banners were feared in every neutral zone. When their long-range probes discovered a quiet cluster of human systems near a fractured nebula, the discovery was treated as routine. Another small species. Another easy expansion. High strategist Kayla Venn stood inside the Dominion's command spire, watching stars move slowly across a massive curved window. He had overseen more than 40 successful invasions. None had failed. His people believed order was enforced through dominance. Resistance was inefficient. Fear was effective. Humans, Kayla said aloud, tasting the word. A species barely 3 centuries old. Around him, senior commanders reviewed holographic data. Human colonies appeared modest. Their fleets were few. Their technology looked strange. No massive battleships. No visible superweapons. No signs of empire-building behavior. They don't expand, one commander noted. They don't claim trade routes. They don't interfere. Kayla smiled slightly. That means they are weak or hiding. A communication officer stepped forward. Strategist, we've received a message. It's from the humans. The room quieted. Project the message, Kayla ordered. A human woman appeared in the air. She wore a plain dark uniform. No medals. No symbols of rank. Her expression was calm, almost tired, as if this was a conversation she had already had many times. I am Director Mara Hales, she said. Terran Boundary Authority. Her eyes met the camera directly. This is an official notice. Aurelian vessels are approaching restricted Terran space. You are advised to alter course immediately. Several commanders exchanged amused glances. Kayla folded his hands behind his back. Restricted by whom? By us, Mara replied. Entry without consent will result in total loss of vessels and personnel. A pause. This is not a threat. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of outcome. Kayla laughed once, softly. You expect us to believe a young species can erase a Dominion fleet? Mara nodded slightly. Yes. Silence stretched. You have 30 minutes to turn back, she continued. If you cross the boundary, recovery will not be possible. No rescue will succeed. No records will remain. This message will not repeat. The projection vanished. For a moment, no one spoke. Then laughter filled the chamber. They didn't even try to bluff, a commander said. No anger. No drama. Kayla waved his hand. Confidence without power is just ignorance. Prepare the advance fleet. Far away, Admiral Surik Thorne stood on the bridge of the Dominion flagship Radiant Spear. 500 warships moved with him, their formations flawless, their weapons charged. This was not a scouting force. It was a lesson. Boundary in 10 minutes, his navigator announced. Surik stared at the starfield ahead. He had seen hundreds of borders crossed. This one looked no different. Space did not glow. No alarms rang. No barriers appeared. And yet, something felt wrong. Any signs of human defenses? He asked. No, came the answer. Nothing on sensors. No ships. No stations. No mines. Surik frowned. Empires did not defend borders by leaving them empty. Continue, he ordered. The moment they crossed the boundary, every screen on the bridge went black. Then light returned. But the fleet was gone. Surik spun toward the tactical display. Empty. No allied signals. No debris. No wreckage. Just silence. Report, he shouted. We can't reach anyone, the communications officer said, panic rising. No echoes. No wrecks. It's like they were removed. The stars outside twisted. Not violently. Gently. As if space itself was being folded. A new image appeared on the main screen. Not a human face. Not a weapon. Just a map. A vast, layered structure of space, far more complex than any known model. A voice followed. Calm. Measured. Human. Admiral Surik Thorn. You are alone by design. Surik straightened. What have you done? We isolated you, the voice said, so you could understand without distraction. The map shifted. Red markers appeared. Thousands of them. These are incursions into Terran space over the last 200 years, the voice continued. Each marker represents a fleet that ignored the warning. The markers vanished. So did they. Surik felt his throat tighten. Destroyed. No, the voice replied. Disassembled. Converted. Repurposed. The map zoomed out. Human systems appeared, glowing softly. Then something else appeared beneath them. Structures hidden between dimensions. Massive. Silent. Patient. We learned early, the voice said, that loud power invites challenge. Quiet power invites survival. The screen changed again. It showed a human city. Peaceful. Children walking. Ships lifting gently into the sky. We don't expand because we don't need to, the voice continued. We don't conquer because it creates enemies. We don't warn twice because we respect choice. Surik clenched his fists. What happens now? Another pause. That depends on you, the voice said. You can leave. We will return your fleet, intact. Your empire will remember this day and live. And if we refuse, then history will forget you, the voice answered calmly. Surik closed his eyes. He thought of duty, of pride, of empires that never believed they could fall. Somewhere far beyond human space, the Aurelian Dominion waited, confident and blind. And humanity waited too. Not with anger, but with certainty. Admiral Surik Thorn did not sleep. Time inside the isolation field did not move normally. Minutes stretched. Hours folded into moments. The stars outside the viewport no longer drifted. They held position, frozen like a painting. The radiant spear floated alone, untouched, unharmed, and completely powerless. The human voice had vanished after delivering its offer. Leave and live. Stay and be erased. Surik had commanded fleets his entire life. He understood strategy, fear, and sacrifice. What he did not understand was mercy offered without weakness. Empires did not behave like this. Predators did not give prey a choice. Still no contact, his first officer said quietly. Surik nodded. He stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the invisible boundary they had crossed. They aren't jamming us, he said. They're ignoring us. That thought unsettled him more than any weapon. Finally, the voice returned. You've had time to consider, it said. State your decision. Surik straightened. If we withdraw, you will return my fleet. Yes. No damage. None. And if we return again? There was a pause. Not hesitation. Calculation. We will not offer a second warning. Surik exhaled slowly. Then we will leave. The stars snapped back into motion. One by one, the Dominion ships reappeared on sensors. 500 signals, intact, aligned, and restored to their original formation. No alarms. No scars. No explanation. A moment later, Terran space vanished behind them, as if it had never been there. Back in Dominion territory, panic spread faster than any official report. Admiral Surik was summoned before the High Council within hours. The chamber was filled with political leaders, military architects, and intelligence masters. Their faces were tight with disbelief as Surik recounted everything. They separated my flagship from the fleet without firing a weapon, he said. They controlled space itself. Not through force, but precision. One counselor leaned forward. And they let you leave? Yes. That makes no sense. Surik met their eyes. It makes perfect sense. They didn't need to destroy us to win. The high strategist Kayla Venn dismissed the report as exaggeration. Fear distorts perception, Kayla said. Humans staged a display. A clever trick. Nothing more. But rumors spread. In neutral systems, traders whispered about missing fleets from centuries past. About records that ended abruptly near Terran borders. About sensor ghosts that vanished when examined too closely. The Galactic Exchange quietly updated its maps. Terran space was marked with a single line of text. Entry not recommended. Still, some did not listen. The Kethri swarm believed numbers solved all problems. Where others sent fleets, they sent tides. Millions of living ships poured toward human territory, confident that no defense could stop them all. They never reached the border. From the outside, it looked like nothing happened. The swarm simply slowed, then stopped, then faded. Inside Terran Command, Director Mara Hales watched silent screens. Containment complete, an analyst reported. Casualties? Mara asked. 0 on our side. Civilian impact? None. Mara nodded. Log the event. Seal the layers. The humans did not celebrate. They never did. They remembered their own history too well. Humanity had once expanded aggressively. They had built empires, drawn borders, and fought wars that scorched entire planets. They learned, painfully, that domination created endless enemies. Survival required something else. So they changed. They turned inward. They built deeper instead of wider. They mastered physics not as a weapon, but as a shield. Space, time, gravity, probability, tools rather than obstacles. When the first alien armada arrived centuries ago, humans did not panic. They studied. When the second arrived, they prepared. By the third, they were ready. Not to conquer. To end conflict before it began. The galaxy mistook human silence for weakness because that was what silence meant to everyone else. But humans were never silent. They were listening. Weeks after the Dominion's retreat, a secret council convened on Terra itself. Scientists, diplomats, historians, and military minds gathered in a chamber buried beneath Earth's oldest mountains. They'll test us again, one general said. Yes, Mara agreed. They always do. A physicist gestured toward a projection showing layered space structures. Our systems can handle it. But each incident risks exposure. We can't hide forever, another voice said. Mara looked around the room. We aren't hiding. We're choosing restraint. A pause. But restraint only works if the message spreads. How? Someone asked. Mara smiled faintly. It already is. Across the galaxy, empires began altering routes. Explorers filed reports marked "Do Not Probe." Admirals quietly removed Terran space from their campaign maps. Not because of fear. Because no one could explain how humans did what they did. And nothing terrified an empire more than power it could not understand. High strategist Kayla Venn watched these developments with growing frustration. Trade slowed. Expansion stalled. Confidence cracked. All because of 30 human systems. This ends now, Kayla said, standing before a classified assembly. Prepare the full demonstration fleet. You mean total war? A commander asked. I mean certainty, Kayla replied. No more warnings. No more probes. We cross with everything we have. Some hesitated. Others nodded. Far away, Terran sensors noticed the shift instantly. Director Mara Hales closed her eyes briefly as the data appeared. They're coming again, an officer said. Bigger than before. Mara opened her eyes. Calm. Focused. Notify the council, she said. Activate the deep layers. Do we issue another warning? Mara shook her head. No. She looked at the star map, at the approaching mass of ships, at the same mistake repeated again and again. We already did. And as the galaxy held its breath, humanity prepared to teach its final lesson. Not through destruction, but through understanding that once gained, could never be forgotten. The full demonstration fleet did not sneak. It did not hide behind stealth or false signals. It moved openly, confidently, a moving wall of metal and fire stretching across light years. Thousands of warships, command carriers, weapon platforms, and support vessels advanced as one. The Aurelian Dominion wanted the galaxy to watch. And the galaxy did. Every major power redirected sensors. Traders paused mid-route. Observatories tracked the fleet's progress in silence. This was not conquest anymore. This was proof. If the Dominion crushed humanity, fear would return to its proper place. Inside Terran space, no alarms rang. Director Mara Hales stood in the deep command chamber, hands resting lightly on the console. Around her, analysts monitored layers of reality most species did not even know existed. Fleet mass confirmed, an officer said. They've crossed the caution threshold. Mara nodded. Initiate Phase 1. Nothing exploded. Nothing moved. From the outside, Terran space still looked empty. Inside the Dominion fleet, confusion spread. Why are our forward scouts slowing? A navigator asked. They aren't slowing, another replied. They're drifting. Admiral Keth Varuan, commander of the demonstration fleet, stepped forward. He was younger than Surik Thorn had been, sharper, eager to carve his name into history. Status, he demanded. Gravitational variance detected, an officer said. Minor at first, increasing now. Stars bent slightly, just enough to notice. Ships corrected course automatically, then corrected again. And again. Adjust formation, Varuan ordered. The fleet complied. Too late. Human space unfolded. Not like a trap snapping shut. Like a puzzle revealing itself. Distances changed. Signals delayed by fractions of seconds that added up. Command relays echoed back altered versions of orders. Not wrong enough to trigger alarms. Just wrong enough to create hesitation. On Terra, a young analyst swallowed hard. Phase 1 complete. They're inside the perception net. Mara exhaled. Proceed to Phase 2. Across the Dominion fleet, time fractured. Not stopped. Not reversed. Staggered. Ships experienced micro-desynchronization. Crews felt it as headaches. As missed steps. As commands arriving just after they were needed. Admiral, a captain said urgently, our fleet cohesion is degrading. Varuan clenched his jaw. They're trying to scare us. Then the first ship vanished. No explosion. No flash. One moment it was there. The next, empty space. Gasps rippled across bridges. Sensor error, someone shouted. Then another ship disappeared. And another. Admiral, the tactical officer whispered, they're not destroying us. Varuan's blood ran cold. Then where are they going? On Terra, the answer was simple. Storage layer stable, a physicist reported. Fleet fragments contained. Mara watched the numbers rise. Hundreds of ships, neatly folded into isolated pockets of spacetime, each sealed, each harmless. Humanity had learned long ago that annihilation taught nothing. Removal taught restraint. Inside one of those pockets, Admiral Varuan stood frozen as stars rearranged themselves into unfamiliar patterns. His fleet was still visible on sensors, but spread impossibly far apart. The human voice returned. Admiral Varuan, it said calmly. You were not warned personally. That was an oversight. Varuan swallowed. What is this place? A pause, the voice replied. So you can see what you're doing. The stars shifted again, forming images. Worlds burned by the Dominion. Species erased. Cities flattened for efficiency. You call this order, the voice said. We call it repetition. Varuan's hands trembled. You think you're better than us? No, the voice answered. We think we've been you. The images changed. Earth's past appeared. Wars. Ruins. Smoke. Graves counted in millions. We learned that power without restraint destroys everything, including the one who holds it. Varroan stared. Then why stop us at all? Because growth doesn't require conquest, the voice said. And survival doesn't require fear. The pocket dissolved. Varroan found himself back on his bridge. Half his fleet was gone. Not destroyed. Missing. Return, the human voice said. Or remain, and we will continue. Varroan hesitated. That hesitation saved lives. Signal retreat, he said hoarsely. The remaining ships turned back. Behind them, Terran space folded shut once more. The galaxy exploded with reaction. Records updated overnight. Borders redrawn. Doctrines rewritten. Military academies added a new subject. Human strategic restraint. But not everyone accepted it. In hidden systems, coalitions formed. Scientists obsessed over Terran physics. Leaders whispered that no species should be allowed such control. On Terra, Mara addressed the council. They will keep coming, she said. Curiosity always turns into challenge. A historian nodded. Just like we once did. Mara looked at Earth on the screen. Blue. Fragile. Alive. We won't strike first, she said. But we won't be moved. Deep beneath human space, systems older than recorded history hummed quietly. Not weapons. Safeguards. Proofs of understanding rather than dominance. Humanity waited. Not because it was afraid, but because patience, once mastered, became the greatest form of power the galaxy had ever seen. The galaxy did not calm down. It reorganized. Empires that once fought each other now shared intelligence. Old rivals signed quiet agreements. Observers were posted near Terran borders, not to attack, but to understand. Humanity had changed the balance without firing a visible shot, and that terrified those who relied on force to stay relevant. Fear always looks for justification. In a hidden system far from major trade lanes, representatives of 12 powers gathered. No banners. No recordings. Just intent. They control space itself, one delegate said. If they choose, none of us are safe. Then they must be limited, another replied. A third leaned forward. Or provoked into revealing their limits. The plan was not invasion. It was pressure. Trade embargoes followed. Neutral ports refused human ships. Information networks quietly erased Terran research. Human envoys were ignored, stalled, delayed. On Terra, the effects were felt quickly. Supply chains strained. Off-world colonies adjusted to shortages. Not disasters, but discomforts. Enough to test resolve. Inside the deep council chamber, voices rose. We can end this, a general argued. Demonstrate real power. Just once. Mara Hales listened without interrupting. A scientist shook her head. If we do that, we become what they expect. Another voice, tired and quiet, spoke from the far end. And if we don't, how long do we endure? Mara stood. We endure as long as it takes, she said. Because the moment we use fear as a language, we lose everything we built. The room fell silent. Days later, something new happened. A human colony went dark. No explosion. No warning. Just silence. The world, named Havenfall, had been a research settlement. Civilian. Non-military. Its signal vanished from the network as if it had never existed. Panic surged. Terran systems flared with alerts. Rescue attempts met nothing. Space around Havenfall was intact. The planet was gone. Not destroyed. Removed. Mara stared at the data, her hands shaking for the first time in years. They copied us, an analyst whispered. Yes, Mara said softly. They learned. The coalition had done the unthinkable. They had reverse-engineered fragments of Terran physics from decades of observation. Crude. Dangerous. But effective enough once. They sent a message. Not a threat. A question. Are you willing to lose worlds to protect principles? Humanity reeled. Public outrage surged. Not for war, but for action. Families demanded answers. Colonists demanded protection. Silence, once a strength, began to feel like abandonment. Mara addressed the world. Her face appeared on every screen. "We will bring them home," she said. "And we will not become what we oppose to do it." Behind her, unseen by most, systems shifted. Deep systems. The ones humanity had sworn never to use unless absolutely necessary. Weeks passed. Then the coalition made its mistake. They tried to move Havenfall. They did not understand that human technology was not just about control, but connection. Every human world was threaded into a shared framework, not of command, but of presence. Remove a piece, and the whole noticed. In a remote chamber beneath Earth, an ancient device activated for the first time in generations. Not a weapon. A bridge. Space folded inward, not violently, but precisely. The stolen world reappeared exactly where it had been taken from. Cities intact. People alive. Unharmed. Across the galaxy, sensors screamed. Humanity had just done something no one thought possible. They restored what had been taken. Mara sent one message. This was your final lesson. The coalition panicked. They scrambled fleets. They armed defenses. They prepared for retaliation. None came. Instead, something worse happened. Their stolen knowledge stopped working. Every copied system failed at once. Ships stranded. Experiments collapsed. Entire facilities locked inside unusable layers of space. Human technology did not resist intrusion. It simply refused to function for those who did not understand it. One by one, coalition leaders requested contact. Mara accepted only one. "We don't want your surrender," she told them. "We want your understanding." "And if we refuse?" a trembling voice asked. "Then you will live smaller lives," Mara replied. "Because you chose fear over growth." The galaxy listened. This time, it believed. Humanity did not rise as rulers. It rose as a boundary. A line that said, "You may advance, but not at the cost of others." And for the first time in recorded history, the stars grew quieter. Not because they were afraid, but because they were thinking. The galaxy did not end with a war. It ended with a pause. Trade routes reopened slowly. Borders softened. Military doctrines were rewritten, not around dominance, but around avoidance. Terran space was no longer marked with warnings or threat symbols. It carried a different note now: quiet, deliberate, permanent. Do not force what does not need to move. On Terra, life continued. Children went to school. Ships lifted from spaceports. Farmers worked red soil on distant worlds. Humanity did not celebrate its survival because survival had never been the goal. Stability was. Director Mara Hales stood once more in the deep council chamber. Older now, lines earned rather than feared. Around her sat representatives from dozens of species. Not conquerors. Not subjects. Listeners. "You could rule us," one alien delegate said softly. "You proved that." Mara shook her head. "Rule is heavy," she replied. "And it always breaks the one holding it." Another asked, "Then what are you?" Mara thought for a moment. "We are proof," she said. "That strength can choose restraint. That power can stop instead of take. That survival doesn't require supremacy." Across the galaxy, changes followed. Empires shrank willingly. Expansion became cooperation. Science replaced conquest as the primary measure of greatness. Some resisted. They always would. But they no longer rushed blindly forward. Because they remembered. They remembered fleets that vanished without battle. Worlds returned without revenge. A species that could end everything, and chose not to. Centuries later, students in distant systems studied Terran history. Not as legend. As caution. They learned that humanity was not the strongest species. It was the most patient. And patience, once mastered, reshaped the universe more deeply than any weapon ever could. At the edge of Terran space, a single message remained active. It was never updated. Never reworded. It simply said, "We warned you once. We protect what we love. And we keep our promises." The galaxy believed it. And for the first time, that was enough.